Well, welcome everybody to Inspired Conversations. I am your host, Kim Evans, and you all, I am so excited for my guest today that I have. This is going to be such a hot topic. We're going to have to do a part one about and a part two, but we're going to get right into it. First of all, I want to introduce you and I want to say hello, Miss Tania. She's a sex and intimacy coach. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you. Very, very excited. I love talking about this stuff all the time.
I think when a woman gets in charge of her sexuality and she becomes really empowered in that, she can kind of like rule the world. I just it shares so much confidence within herself when she knows herself and when she actually finds that place of her sexuality. And so this is what we're going to talk about today. So I am so excited. So Miss Tania, I'm going to tell the viewers a little bit about who you are and what you do. But before I get into that, I always like to send a prayer and a blessing out to my subscribers. Is that okay with you?
Absolutely.
Y'all know what I do. So I am so excited that anybody that is watching the show, I just send forth just some grace, and I hope that you be inspired. I hope you be transformed. I hope you be just transformational of the information, that you can use that information and you can make an impartation in your life, that it can actually add more positiveness to you. And so that's what we do here on Inspired Conversations. I also always love to send the blessings as far as the east, as far as the west, as far as the north, that everybody that's hearing this goes out. This is an international podcast, you guys. I am so excited. I have an international podcast show. I'm across all 18 platforms, and that you guys just be illuminated. And please share the podcast out and be blessed. And Miss Tania, I just give you more grace. May you continue to share your message about what God has given you to the world. And I'm so excited that you're standing up for women empowerment. And we're in this season that we're talking about women empowerment. So thank you again, and thank you for being on the show.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I appreciate that. Quite the intro. My goodness.
All righty. So Miss Tanya is a sex and intimacy coach. I'm so excited when we met at a networking group, and what she told me that what she offers is, I just said, hey, we got to talk about this. She's an advocate for couples and individuals that want to have fulfilling relationships. Don't everybody want to have a fulfilling relationship? Everyone wants to have a fulfilling relationship. Him, her, them, or they. We want to include everybody. As a trauma-informed Somatic Institute trained practitioner, she offers experimental approach that's without shame or judgment. And I love the fact that some of the things, I'm not going to get into all of them, her specialty: dating challenges, pain during intercourse, women as we get 40s and 50s and beyond, ED, PE, lack of orgasm and desire, as we're going through what we call perimenopause, then menopause, and then postmenopause. Y'all know 40s and 50s, we do have those changes that we go through, learning boundaries, how to flirt and how to feel sexy. She works with all kinds of people of interest and backgrounds. And so let's get into the topic at hand. When we talk about today, women and empowering womenpreneurs and how to overcome intimacy and hangups. Miss Tanya, welcome to Inspired Conversations.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Very honored. And thank you for inviting me. I'm very excited. I know you have some lovely and loyal viewers, so I hope I please them, and I'm happy to answer their questions and that they get something out of this interview. So
Absolutely.
thank
We're
you.
going to get right into it. But before I get into it, how did you become a sex and an intimacy coach? Please
Yeah.
share with us your story.
That is the question I get the most, actually, Kim. It's so crazy because when we become coaches of anything, it becomes most of the time it's a passion project or something life-changing that leads us in this direction. I was in the corporate world. I was in aesthetics industry. I did medical device sales and I loved my job. But as I got older and went through divorce and went through a lot of those challenges in my marriage, I started seeing more and more people go through their challenges in their marriages, more divorce or more unhappy couples. And I used to always say, go get some counseling with sex. That's really the heart of what's going on. And um, they weren't. They were just doing normal couples counseling, but sex wasn't really addressed. Same with my therapy that I went to. Sex was very avoided, which is unbelievable because these are couples, married couples that are trying to figure out their relationship. How is sex not talked about? Why is it uncomfortable for so many therapists and so many people to bring it up? And I think my ex, when I went to 7 different counselors, as well as the pastors at the church we used to go to, and it was never brought up. It was really sad, actually. And same thing, friends that went through the same issues. And I said, this is kind of bizarre. And so I started becoming the unofficial sex coach within the group of friends that I had. And they'd come to me because I just think shame is a killer of pleasure. So it was a very judgment-free conversation. All the special, exciting kinks they had, or the sex hangups or anything they had, they knew they could come to me with pretty honest advice and not
Hmm.
feel judged. And then I realized this is actually what I want to do. This is way more fulfilling.
Wow.
And I can help so many more people. So that's what I did. I went all in and
I
here
love.
we are today.
How long have you been doing this for, Tanya?
Just about a year. I started virtually and then I opened my own office this year because I'm specializing a lot in kink and BDSM as well.
I can't
So
wait.
I'm doing a lot of in-person
Oh
sessions.
my God. Oh my God. So we're happy that you hear it. It really is a strong message. I know I was married for 10 years and it's just something that we just, you go to marriage counseling, but they really need to do several different modules on that. But see, here's the thing, and we're going to get to it. You said sex avoidance. You said, why is it uncomfortable? Why is it that shame is a killer of pleasure? See, this is the thing that I remember my late great pastor was saying is that when you are in the dating, in the dating season, you need to talk about it. So what
Mhm.
we got a subject that we can talk about dating challenges in a minute, but I think that's something that needs to be discussed in length when you're dating someone. And it's not. Either you go through it and people have sex while they're dating and then they get married, however it comes up. It's just that it needs to be discussed. And now you get married and you haven't had to talk about it. And now you're trying to figure it out when you should have tried to figure it out in the dating season before you got married.
And I have couples that have been married for 30, 40 years that have never brought it up.
Can you imagine that? They've been married for 30 to 40 years, and what's the glue that holds them to, oh, well, let's reverse. Are they satisfied sexually? Those couples that have been married 30,
No, that's why they're reaching out,
wow,
but they're embarrassed to say.
wow.
Can you imagine being married to somebody for that long and still not share your kinks and your desires and your fetishes or whatever it is that turns you on because of shame?
Kinks and desires and fetishes because of shame, or maybe how you were raised, or maybe because of your background. So I'm kind of curious, why do you think it's uncomfortable for women to share their sexual pleasure?
Oh my goodness, much harder than anything. We're told to be good girls. We're told you can't have a body count or has to be a low body count or women have to behave. You can't talk about sex out loud. You're supposed to be meek. We're supposed to be quiet. We're supposed to be submissive. We're supposed to behave. We're not supposed to be loud or sexual or dress sexy. Depends. I grew up in a culture where that was very frowned upon. And it's a lot harder. I mean, with the culture I grew up in, the woman couldn't do anything, but the guys are able to do everything. And I was like, that's not fair. If I was a son, I could do more stuff. That's not cool.
Exactly.
But
Not fair.
yeah.
See that the times are changing. The times are changing now. Women are becoming more self-reliant with themselves. They're becoming more empowerful. They're becoming more a voice and to vocalize. They're not getting as married, they're not getting married as fast or as young. They're being more independent. So we're seeing the times change here. It's a whole new genre here. So let's get to the dating challenge. I'm very, this is really good. So what are some of the strategies for balancing the demands of entrepreneurship as we talk to working women? Because the preference is as womenpreneurs. What are some strategies for balancing the demands of entrepreneurship with the challenges of modern dating?
Are you talking about time management?
Yes, time.
Or so time management, everybody has time. I mean, the leaders of the country have time to date. We have time. I'm a single mom and I've had multiple jobs. I have time to date. It's just what you prioritize. If you can go on social media and scroll for a good 30, 60 minutes, you have the time to get on a dating app or do whatever it is, go to an event and put that time into yourself or into dating. So there is time. It's just managing your time and putting it in. It's like the gym,
Okay.
kind of the same idea, right? Or the workout.
So then if that's the case, then the next one would be how can womenpreneurs overcome the hurdles of finding partners who understand their busy lifestyles? Because oftentimes womenpreneurs, and we're talking about women who are building their businesses, they don't have time. They want a partner, but do you understand? I'm trying to build this business. I have my customers that I have to attend to, those maybe that have children. How do you weave in busy lifestyles and then love? But then here it is. Then we complain about that we want to be in a relationship. We complain about that we want to find a man.
Yeah, we have the time and we're all busy, men and women. And we're in a time, and I don't know where all of your viewers are based, but I live in Bay Area in California, and we are two-income households for the most part. It is very difficult to survive on just one income. Everybody's working, everybody's busy, and that's really not an excuse
Okay.
anymore. We're all busy. There is time. It's just where do you find value? And that's where you're putting in your time. If it's Friday night and you're watching Netflix and you're complaining that you're not meeting people, then you're sitting at home by yourself on the couch. But I do need that one day a week of just decompress by myself and watch some crazy in love romantic or some wild action film that's very unreal just to check out. And I do need that time for myself, but I do also need that time to invest in my future, whether it's a future partner or work or anything. So there is time.
And I think also, I think women have to make a decision. Look, if you are looking, and we're talking about from a women's perspective here, if you are looking for a mate, if you're looking for a relationship, you got to make the time for it, right? So we can fast forward that.
Yeah.
You got to. And so then now let's add in the sexuality. Let's add the intimacy. Now you're with someone, you're dating them for a season of time, however you want to define that to be, or maybe in the very beginning. Why is it challenging, you think, for women to express how they feel about their sexuality to the man that they're dating? And let's go, that can go both ways, man or woman, woman or man. Because
Let's rewind. Let's rewind a little bit between having the time for the app, approaching the dating scene, and then going into dating, right? Because the mindset into dating is why people are so unmotivated, why they don't want to put in the time, why it's mentally exhausting and draining. So it's the approach. So this is what I tell people. It is, I get that if they're trying to find their forever partner and they want to have babies and they're kind of in a hurry because the time is ticking, it puts a lot of pressure on both people.
right,
I say approach it casually. Do not say I'm looking for my forever person. Every time people are on the apps and they're like, what are you looking for? I'm like, you need to just chill and just say, hi, I'd love to chat and take you out sometime. That is one of the biggest problems we're having right now because it puts so much pressure on both. I'm looking for my forever person, or I'm not looking for anything. I'm looking for something casual. Maybe it rules out a really possible wonderful person because you're looking for something casual when it could have possibly turned into something deeper and you didn't expect it.
right, right.
So the mindset going into the dating needs to take that pressure off of you as the woman, off of the man that you're dating or the other partner. If you're dating another woman, it needs to take that pressure off
Exactly.
and just enjoy. Love getting to know people, enjoy just the dinners out or the conversations you're having or the new places you get to check out with somebody. Enjoy dating. You
Exactly.
don't have to be in a rush. You
Exactly.
truly don't. It's not going to take 10 years. You'll figure it out kind of quickly, whether it's going to take a long time or not, but you don't have to put an expiration date on it. What is it? What is Sex in the City? It's expiration dating. It does not need to have an expiration date.
Love it. I love it. But people do. And then all of a sudden, sometimes, okay, so we can go back there. But then we got to throw the sex part in because you feel pressured. You're dating someone, you're dating a guy, and he wants to have sex with
So,
you.
yeah,
What about that?
that's the boundary conversation. It
Ah,
shouldn't be pressure. It should be organic. It shouldn't be anybody's voice in your head
right.
or the other person's voice in your head. It should be a very mutual consent, entertaining, wonderful experience.
Okay.
That's when the boundary conversation happens. And if you're feeling any kind of pressure, that's when you learn how to say what you need to say to set your boundaries and get out.
So in that dating season, again, that is how do you entertain and how do you weave in voicing how you feel about your sexuality? Because if it's not being set, the standard is not being set in the dating, then how are you going to be able to set the stage in the mating when you're married? Because you didn't talk
Right.
about it when you were dating. So
Right.
what part of it in the dating season, I guess I'm trying to ask, in your suggestion or in your opinion, should that be discussed?
If you're already sleeping together, that needs to be discussed. If
Right.
you're already comfortable sleeping with that person, you need to be comfortable having that conversation as well. It's not just a physical act, it's actually much more of an emotional act than it is physical. So if you're already comfortable having sex, you should already be comfortable having conversations about sex.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Those go hand in hand.
And it could go both ways. You have women who are of a more of a faith or or a religious that may
Yeah.
practicing abstinence, and then we have to address the other people who are not. So either or, it still comes down to the same way, the same thing is that it's you should feel comfortable having the conversation about it. And if you're not comfortable having the conversation during the mating or the dating, you're gonna have problems in the marriage.
Yeah.
The two
Yeah.
hand in hand. And so it's like, how do we draw this connection to where women can feel more comfortable about expressing their sexual needs? That's
Yeah. That's true. That's a lot of boundary, learning your boundaries, a lot of embodiment work that I do, feeling comfortable and confident in your own skin to say, you know what, these are the types of things I like. I need 30 minutes of foreplay to really get in the mood if you want me to orgasm. And I need you to play with this part of my body, or I need you to touch me here and I need my face caressed, or I need you to kiss my neck more and spend more time getting me ready versus just jumping in. If
right.
if we get to that point where you're feeling confident enough to say that, those conversations happen. And I think a lot of the times the partner feels the ones with the not the big ego and the narcissistic partners, right? But I feel most of the time the partner's happy because they're not guessing
Right.
what to do. They're able to please you and they know you gave them the map
Right. Right.
and
Right.
they're able to make you climax. And that's a big ego
Mm-hmm.
booster too.
And it could be, I think that could be a course on itself, helping women to discover themselves, so
Yes.
so they can better communicate to their partners their needs. Because I find this very interesting. Men do it; they'll communicate and they'll tell you what they want. So why is it that women find it a challenge to communicate and to share with their mates what they want?
Well, not all men do. I think men will say what they think they're supposed to say because I'm the guy, I'm supposed to say this. This is what society tells me I'm supposed to do. But they don't. I actually see a lot, majority of my clients actually are men. So I
Mm,
do see a lot of men who want to uncover their kinks or not feel ashamed about it and be able to tell their partners, this is what really turns me on. A lot of men don't say it.
mm.
So it isn't as communicated. It's more the society that puts it on men and women with the pressure, not necessarily what both parties want deep down.
That's real good, Tanya. That's real good. And with that, here's another lead in. What are the three top things that need to be established first between two people or a couple before they can even feel comfortable and confident sharing what their kinks and their sexual needs are?
Safety is probably number one.
Okay, safety. Okay.
Absolutely. Safety and comfort
Comfort. Okay.
and attraction.
Ah, attraction. I love it. Viewers, are you listening? That these three things must be in place so that you can feel comfortable. Number one is safety. Number two is comfort. And number three is attraction. And how can a man position himself so that a woman can feel safe, so that she can communicate her sexual needs and desires?
Read the cues, read the room, slow down,
Mm-hmm.
stop, give a little more eye contact, ask more questions.
Hmm.
Body language, right? We say majority of the way we speak is body language.
Exactly.
Just feel the person out figuratively before literally. That's that's how you start. Just don't be a one pony show. Is that how you say it?
Exactly.
Don't do the same moves with everybody.
Exactly.
Every woman has a different speed. Just feel the body. If these are top executive men and they're dating women, they have no idea, they can't read the body language. How are you doing so well at work? Bring that same level of professionalism and success, what made you successful, bring it into your dating. And same with women, bring it into your dating. You are successful people at your work. You can actually bring those traits into dating and understand how to read people and understand body language, asking the right questions, open-ended questions without expectation. The expectation would be, I'm going to have a fun night, hopefully. And if I don't, I tried out a new restaurant or something, you know, that's it. That should be the only expectation. Beyond that, it puts pressure on both parties and it just makes it more awkward, especially at the end of the night if it doesn't work out.
Love it. And what do you say about attraction? You know, how does this particular element needs to be in play before one can discuss their comfortability and their sexual fetishes or whatever the case may be, and
Yeah.
what's included in that piece of it?
Intelligence is so sexy. Interest in
Right.
you is very hot. I mean, someone that could be maybe they're average looking according to the woman. She's like, oh, maybe he's okay. I'll give him a chance. And then he decides she finds out he's funny.
Right.
And that's my number one. I love funny guys always get me. I mean, she could be laughing and having the best time, and he went from cute to sexy, and
Mm.
she's hooked. You know, it's finding that little thing about her, and you don't know what it is, and sometimes she doesn't know what it is, but it's just being comfortable in your own skin.
Mhm.
And then there's chemistry.
Right. That's the other piece of it, chemistry. But that chemistry is just something that's just natural. I mean, it's like putting on a good perfume. Either it's going to work with your body or
Yes.
not.
Yes, it is not forced.
Guy, I don't think that's 4 points in the clothes. I don't think you could take a course in it and figure that out. It's either it is or it's either it is not. And you need to be able to be discerning whether or not this person, you guys are meshing with the right chemistry. And if it's not, then say next. It
Yeah.
doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out.
And I'll tell people, you know what? If it's a lot of pressure and you're feeling not totally comfortable, go on a date with someone you don't feel attracted to, just as practice.
Mm,
Just do a little practice dating. See how that feels in your body.
mm,
Really read the physical cues and just it takes the pressure off, right? Because you're not sitting there going, oh my goodness, this person's so hot. I need to be hotter. I need to look like this. I need to do full makeup. Just go out with somebody you could just say, okay, he could be a friend and practice and see how it feels.
I love that. I love that what you just said. Feel the embodiment and
Yes.
that you work with people. And I think sometimes, women, we forget that. Body wills, belly's wisdom. You got wisdom in your belly. It's totally amazing that if you just be positive and just sit with the intelligence that's in your belly will tell you a lot about what you need to know. But oftentimes we want to put the cart before the horse. So this is really good, Ty. This is really good. So I'd like to explore when you talk about BDSM, kink, and fetishes, let's get into that. What exactly,
Okay.
what's exactly is that?
Fun stuff. That's the fun stuff.
I want to get into that. Explain.
Oh my goodness. It is so
Yeah.
much fun. So bondage, discipline, sadism, masochism, and then dominance and submission as well.
Are we talking 50 Shades of Grey here?
You know what's so great about 50 Shades? Although I would say it's semi-average of a movie, but it brought the BDSM culture a little bit more mainstream.
Wow.
And people were more accepting of it, open, willing to try it. The whole underground scene's always been there.
Oh,
Most people didn't know. That's always been around.
okay.
But the more mainstream, more scene's always been there.
Oh,
Most people didn't know. That's always been around.
okay.
But the more mainstream, more commercialized audience was a little bit more intrigued by it. But I do say they're different levels.
Mhm.
It's not just the whips and chains. There's psychological BDSM.
Mm,
That can be just as hot or sometimes hotter. For me, it's actually my preference, but it is very exciting. It's very therapeutic, what people find BDSM to be. And it fulfills a lot of people's needs to have average sex to mind-blowing sex.
really?
It changes a lot of relationships. Yes.
And
A
you know
lot
what's
of lives.
interesting is that men, in particularly,
Both.
in the okay, all right, let's be equal here. Have that, but again, you don't discuss it. You're not talking about it in the dating season
Kim, sometimes people don't know. Sometimes they don't know that that is something
that they
that,
like.
that they're into. Yeah.
Wow.
There's idea, and then I help bring it out and I help them uncover what it is that really turns them on. But sometimes they don't actually know that's what it is.
So before I ask this next mind-blowing question, we defined what the BDSM is, but what are other kinks and fetishes? So what do you mean by that?
Oh my goodness, kinks can be so many things. It could be I have a sex in public, or it could be I have a praise kink, and every time you tell me I did a good job, it turns me on.
Oh,
It can be many things. It could be clown wear gear, or it could be high heels. It could be
wow.
watching. It could be so many. There's so many layers to it.
Watching, that sounds like voyeurism.
That's voyeurism, girl.
My goodness. So praise kings, whoever would have thought when you give someone a praise that it turns them on? Whoever would have thought that? I would have never put the two and two together.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
that men and women, is that something that women
Oh, yeah,
by that too?
yeah.
Amazing. So that's what you mean by kinks. See, people think kinks is more freakiness.
Yes,
No,
exactly.
but it's not. It's not. Wow.
So many layers to it.
Wow. See, we're talking about sex and intimacy right here, empowering womenpreneurs to overcome intimacy hangups. That's what we're talking about for those of you who are watching here on Instagram, and for those who are for the podcast. This is, see, women are probably like, what is a kink? People might be like, what is a BDSM? It's something that your mother didn't sit down at the coffee table. Y'all didn't talk about that, nor you didn't talk about that with your sister or your brother or your dad.
Yeah.
It's something that you had to find out as you grew up and as you began to go on this discovery with your partner. Okay, so here's a magic question here. So how do you help people, your clients, feel confident in these areas and personal growth so that they
Mhm.
can experience or explore these areas if they choose to?
Oh, I'm so glad you said personal growth, because this just isn't just in the bedroom. The confidence that they get when they realize what they want sexually, they turn into like these powerful people in the workforce too. Like they'll come back and say, I closed this deal, I did this better. People said I'm walking around with more confidence. It is unbelievable how it affects when I say it's therapeutic, it affects your entire life. Sex is much more powerful than just climaxing in the bedroom.
Roll that back, roll that replay, please. Replay, please. Please. You said that it instills your confidence that you could go and close that $1 million deal. You could be that badass in the workforce or in your business. How is that? What's the correlation? How does that?
Because you know what you want.
Wow.
You have gotten, you've discovered what turns you on, what pleases you. You become more confident, and you more confident in your body, which is game changing for a lot of women.
Hmm.
Then you walk into a room and you own it.
When you know what pleases you, when you discover what pleases you, when you uncover what pleases you walk in a room and you own it. Women, did you get that? I think you need to repeat that one more time. That's good right there. That's good right there, Miss Tanya. Say that one more time, please. That
When you know what pleases you, when you know what your desires are and your turn-ons,
hmm,
you walk into each room and you own it and you own them. And people want a piece of you. What is it about this person that is drawing me to this person, this powerful powerhouse,
mm,
this confidence,
mm,
this confidence. People say, oh, you know, heels are sexy, red lipstick is sexy. Yes, they all are. It's confidence.
mm-hmm,
There's nothing hotter than that. Care
mm,
what you look like.
So it's not about your dress. It's not about the heels. It's not about those
Ah,
attributes.
no.
It's about your internal energy.
Let me tell you,
Yes,
I
tell
was living in LA and you know Megan Good, she's just gorgeous, right?
gorgeous
I
lady.
saw her at a club and she was wearing PJs
Mm-hmm.
at a club. And she was like the sexiest woman there. And I was like, this girl is walking around this club, pajamas, and owned it because she was so sexy the way she carried herself. And there are all these beautiful people in LA with these little mini skirts and these sexy outfits and these Louboutin heels. And I was like, it changed so much for me. And I was like, this is what sexy is.
Mm.
Can you
Mm.
imagine wearing PJs at a club,
No,
especially in Hollywood?
but you did say something that is very kind of paramount is when you know what you want and you command that, you don't have to try too hard. It becomes automatic. But you just said that your wellness of what you embody, that's sexy
Mm-hmm.
power. And she walked around this club in her PJs
Isn't that
and the
crazy? Yeah.
power.
Yes. And I was mesmerized, still mesmerized.
Wow. Wow. I think that's wonderful. Energy is a powerhouse. And how does women set themselves to become more sexy so that they can actually embody that powerfulness of their sexuality?
You know what I'll tell a lot of people? The homework that I give, it's fun homework. It is self-pleasure. Find out what turns you on.
Hmm.
Maybe it's a dildo that you need, or a different toy, or maybe it's a certain lotion or a certain scent. Spend time with yourself alone, totally alone, even if you're with a partner, by yourself, and just see what turns you on. Find your erogenous zones. Some people have inside their elbows or the back of their neck, and they just start feeling different parts of their body and they start appreciating different parts of their body and see what really turns you on. Because once you know what turns you on, then you could tell your partner what turns you on and you can help them get you off a little bit better.
Interesting. And this is such a closed door that a lot of women don't talk about.
Yeah.
Even girlfriends, they don't have that conversation.
No.
And it's disheartening in a way because you don't have these conversations. But you have the conversations of what's bothering you in your life. But when it comes to the bedroom, it's kind of taboo that you don't talk about it.
Yeah.
It's like the number one thing, the third thing that leads to divorce is sex, right? The second one is money. But the first one is communication. So it's really interesting. It's like, how is it that the people don't invest in knowing how to please their partner? I think if people would invest more time in how to please their partners, maybe we might have less divorce.
I know it.
Mhm.
Now you know why I do what I do for work.
Mhm.
On a mission.
Wow, this is good. This is so good. And you mentioned, I just love the energy and the powerhouse in the room. It's not about, again, it's not about the red bottom shoes. It's not, about wearing the red lipstick. It's about the energy that you actually embody and
Mm-hmm.
that commands power and presence. So on that note, let's talk about flirting and how
Mm.
women should feel sexy and this erotic journey. I think this is
Yeah.
beautiful. So for those who have lost touch in their play style or maybe never had a play style, how can they learn to flirt and feel sexy again? And
Okay.
yeah, we talk about women, they say they lose their mojo. How can a person begin to feel sexy again?
So do me a favor. Put your hands down. Just relax. Relax your hands on your legs.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna put this in gallery view. This is good right here. This is
I'm
pretty.
sorry for Instagram people that can't see me right now, but
Can't see what we're doing. Okay.
they're gonna see you and just relax in the chair. And don't look at me on screen. Look at me on the video,
Okay.
on the camera lens.
Okay.
Okay. And we're gonna take turns.
Okay.
All right. Lean back a little bit in your chair. Just relax.
Okay. We're doing an experiment. Okay.
Just take a deep breath. And just take in what I want to tell you. Don't respond. Just keep looking at the camera. And then when you're ready, look at me on the TV, on the screen. Okay.
Okay.
I want you to know that your eyes are so sultry. They're, they draw me in. There's like this dark shade of wisdom and sexiness and playfulness all together. And it draws me to you. And it makes me want to know more about you.
Hmm.
And what I'd love to do is just look at your eyes, and I want you to look at my eyes. And I don't want to say anything, and I don't want you to say anything. And just take it all in. And I just want to feel what you're feeling. I love that smile. What are you thinking right now?
Happiness and beautifulness.
Good.
So happy and beautiful.
So it's very simple because flirting can be with men and women. It doesn't have to be totally sexual. It
Yes.
can be, but it's just being still and eye contact. And eye contact is so powerful. And
Oh,
if you want to learn to flirt, just stop and take the other person in and find what it is you love about the other person. There's something sexy about everybody. I don't care what they look like.
got that right.
There's something sexy. And you just go, you know what? This is really sexy about you. This is really hot. And this is why.
Mm,
And just look at them and take it in. And that's flirting.
that's flirting, you guys. Now that's the true essence of it because it's been labeled as negative,
Hmm.
come on, condescending. There's a lot of negative flirting. Oh, she's such a flirt or he's such a flirt. No, it doesn't have to be negative. It could be very positive. You just demonstrated that.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful compliment that you just gave, just right there, with no sexual connotation to it. Because oftentimes that's the only thing that people know.
Hmm.
So that was a good exercise that we all have that in us if we awaken it, right? And
And
then
you can test it at Starbucks. You know, if the girl is beautiful and you're like, hey, your skin is just glowing. I mean, I am one of those who feels I need to empower other women whenever I can. And I see something, I have to say it. And if they're rocking it with their outfit, or if you know they're hard in the gym and their body looks like it, or their face is done or something, I will compliment them. A random stranger on the street, often, actually. And that's part of flirting too, making other people feel good and
I love
having that
and it's not
connection.
and I love it. One of my favorite things is a great smelling man. I mean, I love
Oh,
a man that has a
yeah.
great cologne and I'll stop you in the track. I mean, I've been in the elevators where I'm just like just drawn right cologne you're wearing. And then that man will be like, oh my God, thank you. Thank you. Just something as that. And I'm just like, whoa, that smells wonderful.
Oh, yeah.
Really, I love a great smelling man. I think that is so sexy.
Yeah.
I would stop a man in the tracks, and I think that's great. That's a great eyeshadow that your frames are gorgeous. What is wrong with that? So, it's so thank you for that, because that's how you can kind of awaken the dragon, make yourself feel sexy. What are some other ways that a woman can make herself feel sexy again?
Looking in the mirror and just one thing I like to say, what's your favorite part of your body and why?
Yeah,
Look in the mirror and appreciate because what we see in the mirror is not what other people see. But
exactly.
once you start appreciating your body and your curves and the belly that carried that baby and those thick, strong legs that now is the trend. That was my thing. I hated my thick legs and now it's a trend. I'm like, all right, we're going with this. I'm loving it, The strong body that gives you the energy and the strength to go and on every single day. The shoulders, that are just peeking out of that shirt a little bit. Look at yourself in the mirror and just find something. Trust me, there is something, many things that are beautiful about you that you could quickly point out.
But here's the deal. When a woman has gone through bad relationships after bad relationship,
Yeah.
age, as we're going another trip around the sun, as we're not happy with our weight, maybe not 100% satisfied where they are in their business career and, wherever they are, or maybe because they haven't found that true loved one, or health issues. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's, let's put in caretaking, let's put in death too. It is very challenging for women to feel sexy again.
So what percent, let me ask you, do you wish you were in your 20s again?
Absolutely not.
What percentage of people do you think were wishing they were in their 20s again?
They see it from a physical point and say, oh my God, I wish I can look like I'm 20 again. But I think that they're not really saying that they want to be in the wisdom of a 20-year-old, but they think that they want to appear to look like or to have the weight as a 20-year-old.
When you're in your 20s, did you feel like your body wasn't good enough then?
Absolutely.
At what point are we going to stop criticizing ourselves?
Thank you. Thank you.
Because that's been something we've done for decades. At least now we have our careers, we're more established, we're a lot smarter. I hope we're a lot smarter, I'm pretty sure. I mean, every decade I get older, I actually like it more and more and more. And I feel like it gets better.
I love it. And I would say that, especially as double nickels. You get into your 50s, some women, if they're not ready for it, it's like almost they want to go to a bridge and jump over it. But really, life starts at 50, y'all. I mean, you really get into your sexual powerness, and it's just great. I love it. I wouldn't go back to
Yep.
my 20s for anything. So I love the way we talked about the playfulness. We talked about, how you can get back into, your sexiness. And it's a lot more that goes with that. But the other thing that I really want to talk about is that once you find your mojo, how do you keep your mojo? How does a woman keep her sexiness? How does a woman keep herself looking sexy in those PJs like Megan Good did and walked around that club?
Ooh,
So
still thinking about those PJs.
so that you don't ever lose it again.
Investing in yourself, having boundaries. One thing that I tell people, and I practice it myself, I don't buy my fat clothes or keep my fat clothes. I don't have bummy sweats that don't make me feel good around the house. I wear clothes around the house that are comfortable, but I also feel comfortable going outside walking my dog in those same clothes. If I don't feel good just alone by myself or with my kid, I won't wear it. If it makes me look gross and I feel gross in the house, I won't wear it because you can't just only feel sexy when you're dolled up and ready to go out.
Hello. You
It's a day and night.
have to feel sexy in your loungewear. And my clients know, doggone it, when they come into me and they talk about that, I'm looking old and feeling old. I tell them, go get you some new sexy loungewear. Go get you some Kim,
Yeah.
whatever. Just get you something that you can look sexy sitting in.
And
Up,
they have a lot of great options. I even wear fragrance at night sometimes because I was like, ooh, I want to smell good right now. And it's just me. But I love wearing it too because it just feels good and smell good.
and it contours your body. So when when your guy does come over and visit you, you're looking good in your sexual loungewear.
Yeah.
That plays a big connection factor to the embodiment of you unleashing your sections. Everybody needs to go back and see that Megan Good in her pajamas. I mean,
Oh my gosh, so stunning. And also, I always talk about walking around in your erotic energy, and that's something I do a lot in my practice.
talk about that erotic journey. What exactly is the erotic journey?
The erotic energy. So it's getting out of here and thinking more from your body, feeling things in your body. And sometimes I'll do some breath work and I'll focus on my body, and then I get myself turned on a little bit, and then I walk around and think about my erotic energy, and it draws people in, and I go, oh my gosh, this guy does he know what I'm thinking right now? Like, we're at the pet store,
A little bit
it
more
is
about
just
erotic energy. What is erotic?
it is just walking around, being out of your head and being in your body, and just truly like being turned on a little bit just from different things, from flowers, from the air, the smell of the breeze, the water, anything, just the rush of like the city of working hard entrepreneurs, like anything can turn you on. It's just being in your body and just noticing it and just letting it.
Did that happen walking around in a Barnes and Noble bookstore? I mean, you happen to be out, about or just, window shopping. I mean, just out and about into
Anywhere,
places.
anywhere. I'm telling you, even the pet store I was, anywhere.
That's powerful.
Just walking around and feeling your erotic energy and testing it out. The more you do, it's like practice. The more you do it, the more naturally it comes.
How do you test your erotic energy one more time? How do you test that?
So maybe before you leave the car or the house, just take a few breaths. And as you inhale, feel it going down through your body, in your entire body, and down into your private areas, down your legs, and just feel that breath.
Hmm.
And just let it focus there, let it sit there.
Wow.
And that's where your energy is coming from. So when you leave the house or the car and you're walking around, still be in your body. And it's good. It's a whole different type of mindfulness, I would say, if you guys practice mindfulness.
I love what you just said is another type of mindfulness. We think mindfulness in this channel, right? Well, we never think about mindfulness in our sexuality or our sexual being
Yeah.
or our, as you say, exotic energy. That's good.
Erotic energy. But yes, I like exotic too.
Erotic energy. I love that. And when you have this energy and you filtering up into to your last chakra here down to your foot chakra, can your partner, whoever steps into your atmosphere, feel that energy as well?
They feel something from you. It's you feel a little more grounded,
Ah,
a little bit more secure, more confident. I mean, I did it right before we got on this call. I do it before I do all my coaching sessions. Anytime I talk to anybody in this space, I get into my erotic energy.
I love it. I love it. And so you could get into your erotic energy at any time. You can kind of muster it in and or out of it. And
Yep.
as you said, that's a form of mindfulness because we can actually practice mindfulness in the grocery store in the line at the check.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So then therefore we can, oh my God, this is good stuff.
Well, like I said, there's something sexy about everybody. So I'll just walk around and I'll find something sexy about anybody walking. I mean, it's a great experiment down in San Francisco with everybody's walking everybody. You can find everywhere. You can find something sexy about every person that walks past you.
Uh,
And that is getting into your erotic energy too.
something sexy about everyone. And you know what? Let me just say that on that same mindset. I think women who are in relationships, we don't tell our partners enough how sexy they are. And I think that's something that needs to be said, communicated, exchanged, and shared on a regular, daily, weekly basis. Just how much you can say, how much you appreciate someone and that they do for you. Let your partner know your significant him, her, them, or they, how sexy they are to you,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because then maybe you might not be yielding, wanting, getting compliments from other people to say that.
Men love hearing the physical compliments just as much as we do. I mean, of course, men love hearing, I love how you provide for this family, but they want to know that they're still sexy. Is
Yes.
that dad bod turning people off? They want to know that they still got it going on.
Come on, y'all. Come on, ladies. Did you hear that? Men want to know too that they are still sexy. So tell them, in addition to appreciation, in addition to taking out the trash, that they are sexy as well. And on that note, talking about empowerment through intimacy before we wrap this up is how to embrace one's sexual desires and confidence with greater empowerment. That's the whole thing. Women in empowerment. When you started that out, commanding, you could command the room when you can tell your partner what you want and how it makes you feel. So that same thing, how does that lead to greater empowerment when we can embrace our sexual desires?
It's amazing. It's transformative. And that's why kink and BDSM is so therapeutic, because what it does, it's not just about sex. In fact, it's much more psychological than anything. And we need the emotional and the psychological sex way before the physical to get to the point of climaxing. And that foreplay starts the minute you match with a guy, exchange numbers and start texting, anything. That's when the foreplay starts. It is not in the bedroom. And so sometimes, for my alpha women, if you want to lead that conversation a little bit more and ask the questions that turn you on, I always say make the text messages playful or the conversations playful and wait for the deeper stuff in person. Don't give it all away. Have a little mystery to you. If they're asking a bunch of deep questions via text, say, oh, that's a great question. I'll definitely talk about it more in person.
Did you
It's a
guys get
little
that?
too
When you
deep.
did a great deep question on text, do not give it all away. I love it. That's a great question. That question is,
You're owning that conversation.
hmm,
You're owning your sexuality. You're not giving everything away too soon and too easily. You're making the other person work for it a little bit more. And trust me, they appreciate that.
I love that, love that. That
Yeah.
you Texers, listen to what Tania is saying.
Yeah. No paragraph after paragraph after paragraph texting.
No diddle dots, please. Diddle dots. That is an in-person conversation. And so, my God, Tanya, this has been so great. So we got to get to this before we leave is attachment styles. So
Mm.
about attachment styles that influence intimate relationship, especially for womenpreneurs. Briefly give us the short version. What are attachment styles?
Oh man, if there's a short version. For those who have not heard of any attachment styles, there's the secure style, there's the anxious, and there's the avoidant. There's also the disorganized. It's not totally that common, but they're four. And secure attachment style is basically you can take a quiz and find out real quick online, but you aren't threatened by your parent, one parent or the other leaving you and not coming back or not being there for you. So you knew growing up, you always could count on both parents in your lives.
Mm,
And so you'd form this attachment style that's secure. It's very healthy. So you approach relationships in a very healthy way.
mm,
Then there's the anxious, and that is when one person was probably abandoned you in your life or both abandon you. And so you have the fear of abandonment. And so that's when you text like crazy all day long when you're dating somebody, maybe a little bit too soon, or they're doing that to you. That's common for the attachment style for both ways. This goes for men and women. And it's that fear of abandonment. It comes into play, but also these attachment styles can affect you in your job.
mm,
It's not just your relationship.
mm.
So once you uncover a little bit more about that, um, that can actually be fixed and changed. Personality disorders, more difficult, but attachment styles can actually be changed. That's the good news. Yes, it's recognizing it and working on it.
I love that. And that is something that you help your clients do.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, and avoidant. The avoidant is the fear of intimacy. So as soon as things get a little bit close, that's when you kind of run.
Hmm. When men kind of sort of the third date stop calling you. or maybe after they've had sex with you the first time, starting to get a little deep, they don't call you anymore. It's like they're on to the next one.
Well, men or women, but not necessarily. That could have just been a dude with an agenda too.
Okay.
Or maybe you just weren't the one. That
Okay.
could have been too.
He's just not that into you.
He's just
Okay.
not that into you. Or she's just not that into you,
Or
either
she,
way.
that's right.
But yeah, so when things get a little bit close, or maybe it's the meet my parents kind of a conversation. No way, I'm good. Like I can't, all kinds of excuses, just the fear of intimacy.
So we have the avoidance, we have the secure, we have the anxious. And what was the fourth one?
The disorganized, it's like a combination of avoidant and anxious. It's not as common. Don't see it too much in my practice.
Right. So the,
But their fear of abandonment, and they're avoiding intimacy.
and are you saying men and women alike are either in one or these four
Yes. Yep.
categories or a little bit of all four, but they can be fixed?
They can be helped. Absolutely. It's just recognizing it and then working towards it,
And
which
how
is good.
and how do you know when you're fixed? When you're no longer in
When
one?
you're approaching relationships in a healthy way, or even if it's work relationships.
I love
And
it.
healthy means you're not having the fear of abandonment. If they don't text you all day long, it's okay. We are all busy and we have busy lives. They still love you. They still are thinking about you.
What a great end on the freeway of landing this whole topic. When you approach relationships in a healthier way, it's so beautiful because we must learn, what does it look like to have a healthy relationship?
And talking boundaries,
And
respecting boundaries, the
and
communication, all of those things.
and take us home, Tania, with setting boundaries. Why is that a common challenge? Setting boundaries.
For women,
For,
especially.
for women,
Yes.
talk
Because
about
we were always told we were supposed to do this and this and this. And unfortunately, it's the society issue. And if we're loud and we're saying, no, this is what I want, we're looked as feminists, or, you just want to be, you're a man hater, or,
shots.
you're not being, a real woman. A real woman wouldn't do that.
Right, right, right. So again, I think it's finding your voice, knowing what makes you sexy, knowing what turns you on, and to be able to communicate, all that what you were talking about when you talk about that erotic kind of energy. And that lands us to this beautiful last question that I have with you is, what advice do you give womenpreneurs for establishing healthy boundaries,
Mm-hmm.
business, and let's take it home, in an intimate relationships?
It's going to get a little bit deep, but addressing trauma is a big one. A lot of people have trauma, and trauma can be many layers. It could be getting fired from a job, and it could be a violation of your rights when you were little and you had no voice. And it's addressing the trauma,
Address the trauma.
confronting it, and seeing help. And if it's sexually related and your therapist isn't really helping you with that, the sex and intimacy coach can really help you with some of the trauma, bringing it into sex, and why trauma has formed into a really fun, exciting kink, but people are ashamed about it. And why I'm here to celebrate it.
I love it.
So it's a lot of that. It's addressing the hangups and coming to terms with what really is holding you back.
So I love you said celebrate the kinks and
Mm-hmm.
press the hangups.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh my God, this is good. This is good.
I know some people are just so ashamed about their kinks, and I love them. I love them. We celebrate them.
Wow, 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 wow. That is good. You guys got to do the replay on this podcast. It's going to be so good. Are there any other information you would like to share, give womenpreneurs for establishing healthy boundaries, both in business and in intimate relationships, that will help them to find their inner power?
Yes, take your time
Hmm.
and do you. You don't need
Hmm.
you don't need noise, distraction, dates, people all the time. When you're comfortable in your skin, and
Hmm.
it takes work, it's not easy. It isn't easy.
Yes.
It'll take some time if
Yes.
you're not there, but put in that time into yourself. And you know what I always say, and this is a challenge for a lot of people, go to a bar or a restaurant and feed yourself.
That's right.
Sit there and order a meal and be comfortable by yourself, all alone, and don't be on your phone the entire time.
But take it in, take the atmosphere in.
Yes, and treat yourself to a nice glass of wine or a coffee or something and some dinner. And give yourself the kind of treatment that you would give a very fancy guest in your home.
Hmm.
That's a good way to start, is just being comfortable in your own skin and being out and about and being comfortable being seen alone. And it's actually fun. Some of the most exciting times I've had has been just sitting at the bar by myself, like eating dinner and having the most fascinating conversations with people.
That is just so powerful when a woman can be at a table in a beautiful restaurant,
Yeah.
enjoying her mocktail or tea or cocktail, nice meal, paleo green salad, by the way, and can just embellish this whole energy. I mean, it's like people, I've been there. I do it a lot. I love it. I love. I'm around people all the time, so I like being by myself to go have a meal. But when you're into that, people are drawn to you. People
Yeah.
come up to you. It's like this, is it erotic energy? I mean, it's just like this energy that's within you, that people see it and they want more of it, but they don't know what it is, but they'll come up to you and it's like,
Yes.
hello, how are you? I tell women all the time,
Mhm.
you want to meet people or you want to instill your confidence, go sit somewhere at dinner,
Yes.
nice, and embellish the atmosphere. Just be by yourself.
Yes.
Wow. So Tania, thank you. Addressing traumas and being able to confront it and celebrate your kinks and address your hangups and being able to communicate what those hangups are and take the time to do you. Interpersonal development in yourself. Invest in yourself. Feel confident being in your own skin so that you can walk in those pajamas when you at a club like, man, good. So those are some things that Miss Tania has shared that I've loved when we talk about setting boundaries. The advice that she's giving womenpreneurs for establishing healthy boundaries, both in business and in intimate relationships. But we got one more, but we got to come back for that. That's also in the bedroom. Because we
Hmm.
go from the boardroom and we go to the bedroom
Oh, yes.
to balance that out. Now, we've given y'all enough on this podcast right here. So you're going to have to come back to part two so we could talk about the bedroom, that where
Yeah.
is undefiled. And we really got to talk about that. Miss Tania, it has been a pleasure. I know we have taken up enough of your time. Can you let us know, let the audience know, how do people get in contact with you?
Oh, yes, my website. So coachingwithtania.com, and it's spelled Tania. And then you can reach out via email, or my phone number's on there. If you want a free consultation, we could definitely do that, or a virtual session. I'm happy to offer that. Unless you're in the Bay Area, I have my office out here too.
Tania, it's been a pleasure. I'm so excited that you offer a consultation, a complimentary consultation. That is wonderful. You can find her at Coach with Tania. That is
Coaching.
coaching with,
Yes.
that is spelled TANIA.com.
Yes.
And she's also on Instagram, and she's actually she's redesigning and rebranding her Instagram. We're so excited about that. So you can also reach her on Instagram as well.
Definitely.
Miss Tanya, it has been a pleasure. Is there anything else that you would like to add before we sign off?
Yes.
Oh,
All this takes bravery. And anybody that's willing to go on this journey is a brave person. And I know it's not easy. And I commend people who do work on themselves and they do approach and attack what it is that's really holding them back, and especially the trauma. It takes a lot of bravery, but it's so worth it to have this fulfilling life that we all deserve. and we're all here to help. Everybody's here to support, especially women for other women.
Yes.
We all just want to lift each other up.
Yes.
So
That is beautiful. So thank you, Tania, for being on the show. I am Kim Evans. I am your host on Inspired Conversations. Make sure that you actually get connected with us, subscribe to our podcast. We're on Instagram. We're on all of the major platforms. And I'm so excited. And Miss Tania, we definitely going to have you back on for
thank
part two.
you. I'll bring the whips and chains for that one too.
Much, and it has been definitely a pleasure. Thank you very much for
Thank you.